and thank you for having us. It's an absolute pleasure for us to be here with you. And uh, can we, Carlos, can we move to the next slide? Okay. Well, this is the outline of our presentation. So we are going to discuss about the challenges in EFL speaking. Then we are moving to a literature review, then talking about the methods and process. Finally, a moment for discussion and conclusion. Next, please. All right, so I'd like to start by acknowledging something we all feel deeply. English language education in Ecuador is not without its challenges. We face limited instructional time, stretched resources, and classrooms that are often bursting at the seams. These realities can make it difficult to give our students, the personalized, meaningful learning or the experiences they deserve. Despite these constraints, something remarkable continues to happen. Innovation, creativity, resilience. Teachers across the country are finding new ways to engage learners to rethink traditional methods and to bring language to life in classroom. One of the biggest problems or difficulties we face is helping students develop oral proficiency. Many of our learners do well with grammar and vocabulary. They can fill in the blanks, they can pass written exams, but when it comes to speaking fluently, confidently, and spontaneously, that's where the struggle begins. And in higher education, this isn't just a nice to have skill, it's essential, especially at Yachay Tech. Students, their final dissertations is in English, so they must develop oral proficiency. Unfortunately, the traditional approaches we relied on, memorized dialogues, and structured presentations, often fall short. Instead of building confidence, they can create anxiety. Instead of fostering real communication, they sometimes reinforce silence in the classroom. And that's why today I want to share with you we want to share with you a strategy that has helped us shift that dynamic. Strategy that's not only practical, but empowering, and it starts with something as simple and as powerful as a slide. PechaKucha is a Japanese word meaning the sound of conversation. Or, informally, we can say it's a chit-chat, a chinwag. Astrid Klein and Mark Dytham, they are architects based in Tokyo. They invented the presentation format in 2003 called PechaKucha. Let's move to the next slide, please, Daniel. Thank you. So one of the most distinctive features of the PechaKucha format, it is the exclusive use of images. No bullet points, no paragraphs, just visuals. This isn't just a stylistic choice, it's a pedagogical strategy grounded in research. According to dual coding theory and multimedia learning principles, combining visual and verbal channels enhances comprehension and retention. In language learning, images act as scaffolds. They help students generate ideas and recall vocabulary in meaningful context. By avoiding these text-heavy slides, we reduce the cognitive overload. Students are no longer reading, they are speaking. This shift forces them to internalize content, organize their thoughts, and rely on their own words. It's a powerful way to develop fluency, coherence, and confidence. The studies have shown that learners who present with images perform better than those who use text. Visuals not only aid memory, but also reduce anxiety, allowing students to focus on delivering their message. And in this way, PechaKucha merges visual storytelling with communicative practice, helping learners construct meaning and sequence ideas effectively. It also aligns with the task-based and the project-based learning frameworks, which emphasize real-world communication, yes. And speaking is arguably the most complex skills in language learning. It demands knowledge of grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, discourse management in real time. Well, PechaKucha supports all of these while also fostering creativity, critical thinking, and the 21st century skills like digital literacy and collaboration. It's more than a presentation format. It's like a bridge between language learning and academic competence. And can we move to the next slide, please? Thank you, Carlos. When we set out to explore PechaKucha in the classroom, we didn't just want to measure outcomes. We wanted to understand the process. And so we designed a 6-week intervention with 50 intermediate level participants at the public university in Ecuador. So Yachay Tech is a public university. We started with orientation. The orientation in week 1. So introducing the format, practicing the 20-second pacing, and learning how to design slides with strong visuals and no text. Then came the preparations in the weeks 2 and 3. Students chose topics close to home, tourism, traditions, environmental issues, and learn how to use images as memory triggers, not crutches. We supported them with vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation workshops. During the implementation in the weeks 4 and 5, students presented using only visuals, no scripts, no bullet points, just their voice and their ideas. It was tough at first, of course, but it pushed them to rehearse and their structure, their speech, and engage more naturally. Finally, in the week number 6, which is the reflection, we reflected, the students shared journals, gave peer feedback, and discussed what worked and what didn't. Many said their speech felt more authentic, less memorized, more alive, and that for us was the real success. Can we move to the next, please? Okay. Now, so our study didn't center on the final results. We gathered a rich mix of evidence to understand how students actually experience the PechaKucha strategy. We observed classrooms dynamics very closely. We collected peer and self-assessment rubrics and encouraged students to reflect through journals and informal feedback discussions. What emerged was a deeper picture, not just of performance, but of process. We saw students grappling with timing, leaning into visuals, and gradually building confidence. The reflection revealed how the format shaped their interaction, not just with the language, but with each other. It wasn't just about speaking, it was about thinking, connecting, and growing together. Next slide, please. Now with the PechaKucha format. Okay, so the format is this: is 20 slides. Each slide lasts 20 seconds. So this is one of the most powerful things about the PechaKucha. So reshapes the way students approach speaking. the strict time forces them to be clear, concise, and intentional. It's a refreshing shift from the usual presentation where too much detail can overwhelm both the speaker and the audience. And the visual emphasis by using only images was something really, really meaningful. Research shows that visuals paired with speech reduce cognitive overload and actually help learners understand and remember more. In our classroom, this means that well, students weren't just reading, so they were speaking from memory, from meaning, from connections. So the next part of this presentation, Carlos is going to help us.
Okay, thank you very much, Eric. Thanks everyone for paying attention to our presentation. And let's continue with the key findings and impact. No? As Eric was mentioning before, the idea of the application of PechaKucha in our classrooms was not only the idea to have a tool or a technique for the students to improve their language, but more of that was for them to develop their critical thinking skills, the connection of the ideas with images, and a part of that to improve all the sub skills in the speaking, as fluency, as grammar, as vocabulary, pronunciation, which is really important. In our university, especially, that the students have to get until the second year of studies, the B2 level of English according to the Common European Framework. And they do their final dissertation completely in English and they write the thesis in English. So it is really important for our students to communicate in the context that they can express their ideas, not only repeating, but having the consciousness of presenting their ideas in a critical way. So the key findings and the impact of this presentation was that the 95% of the students have a fluency improvement. No? So the students got engaged in the process. As Eric was mentioning before, this PechaKucha presentation is a slide presentation, 20 slides for 20 seconds. Each presentation changes automatically. So the students don't have the option as we do now, that when you finish your thought, you have to change. They have to improvise a lot. They have to refer the ideas with the messages that they are projecting. And of course, another important detail is that this presentation is in front of a class, in front of an audience, in front of a public. Actually, in the university, we are intending to put like PechaKucha nights. This is an activity that they do, for example, for business, like they do PechaKucha nights, freely students present on a specific topic in front of an audience, in front of the students, or in front of another public, so they can increase their confidence as well when they are presenting. Not only the fluency improvement, the clarity in the enhancement, the vocabulary use, and the confidence in their presentation, but the students at the same time are acquiring different techniques of presenting, like eye contact, moving around the public or the audience, and a part of that communicating the messages in a short time with clear ideas. So these are the findings. As I mentioned before, students got engaged, skills development. So they literally practice all the skills that we show them and we teach them in the class, and the real world application, because the topics that we choose for the students to present are topics about real life, no? So what do you think about the changing of the environment, or about your footprint, or collaborate with people, or topics that the students are got engaged and related. Pedagogical advance that we can find about the use of this tool or the technique in class. Number one is the concision and clarity. So the strict timing that the students have for each presentation, because in a total amount of 6 minutes and 40 seconds, 20 seconds for each slide, the students clearly have to present their ideas. And a part of that, we give them a specific framework. They do have, of course, a rubric before the presentation, so they know clearly how is going to be a student evaluated and what is going to be evaluated. And more that just the formal evaluation is the idea for the students to be clear about what do they have to present. No, for example, a topic sentence, an idea, a quote, a hook, then the paragraphs that they have to present, and then a final conclusion or concluding paragraph at the end of the presentation. So this strict timing, complex prioritization of the key messages, addressing specific details for the students to communicate. The visual emphasis on the images. So sometimes we ask the student just to put a word, no more than a word in each slide, so they can remember, especially, for example, difficult names or difficult proper names or difficult numbers that they can remember, but everything is related with visuals, no? So that's another theory about the shadowing technique where the students, they can practice. That's something that they do here as well. Now, with their presentations, they can practice as many times before they present. That gives them the confidence and the fluency. That's why 95% of the students became more fluent when they presented. And then finally, the learner autonomy, because the topics are the ownership of the students. No, we give them a broad number of topics where the students have to check, they can choose, they can put their own ideas. So we know now the emphasis that they have the students about the different cultures. So they present about different kind of foods, different cultures, different customs for different parts of the world. So that was another part that it became really important when you are teaching, that when the students decide about their learning process, they become better in the learning. The implementation recommendations, no? In the document process, first of all, as I was mentioning before, we maintain a system of records and observations, reflections, and feedback for ongoing analysis. So what happens? If you can imagine the process of the presentations, the students present their PechaKucha, the students are listening because they are part of the audience, but at the same part, they are peer evaluating their classmates with a rubric. At the end, we do a round of reflection. So the students ask questions about the presentations when the students present, and then it gives them the idea of the evaluation. And a part of that, their presentations were completely recorded. So they knew that based on a consent form that they were recording for further observations and analysis and feedback of their presentation. Refined scaffolding, as Eric was mentioning before, the same thing that provided target support in discourse, market transitions, vocabulary expansion, because the student at the same time that they are improvising, they are increasing the vocabulary. They are using the vocabulary that we are teaching in the class. They are using the content, the grammar, and the specific details that we are showing in the class. So they have the class as the grammar, vocabulary, and then they apply it in a real context. Promote visual literacy. So the students are getting very good in digital literacy. We know that with the artificial intelligence tools right now, they can, or you can find a lot of images, but we ask the students to find specific images that they can help them describe their presentation. So they are getting very good and excellent to choose the material for them to present. Encourage reflection. All the students have to reflect at the end as peer and as self-reflection. So that makes the metacognition process in them, so they can reflect, they can analyze, and then they can practice again. This is not just one presentation. The students did different presentations during the intervention process. And something really important that we have to mention is all the analysis, the data, and the information that we have is because of the students did kind of a pre-test. So we asked all of them to do a regular presentation. They did that. So we got some notes about how they are used to present, and then how they at the end of the study, they do their presentations. And planning a longitudinal evaluation is that another process that we want to do, because the idea is that the students can be incorporating this methodological tool or this strategy in all the different levels, so they can practice more and we can have better results. So PechaKucha transforms EFL classroom by integrating linguistic objectives with the 21st century skills development. As a research conclusion, we can say that this innovative methodology not only enhances oral proficiency, but also nurture digital literacy, critical thinking and public speaking confidence, preparing students for real world English communication challenges. So when the students ask, no, and they say, okay, but why do we have to use this format? We say, okay, when you are in a real conversation, it's not in the same way that we are used to do in class, no? That the regular conversations that we have in books is like, you do an interview, you have time to think, and then you answer. But in this case, you have to improvise your ideas. You have to give a real conversation setting. And a part of that, as I mentioned before, the presentation, the skills of presentation the students that develop are incredible. Well, that's it, I think. Thank you very much. I hope that all of you can go to the full content of the written part, so you can check more details about how if something was missing here in the presentation. And of course, here is Erick's email. If you have any further questions or something, we are more than happy to help. And actually, something that I would like to mention, and this is the first study that we did in Ecuador, applying these technological tools in a university setting. So thank you very much. I don't know if you have any questions. We are really happy to answer.